mother said to me when I was a little boy, as long as you are alive, you're going to be blessed with longevity, but you're going to experience pain. The only question you have to answer, how do you turn pain into purpose? And I took that moment and turned it into a purposeful moment. Can I give you a free mask? Good to see you, all right?
Yes.
Growing up in both Queens and Brooklyn, we were extremely poor, living in a 4-story tenement, and then moving to a very modest, small house in South Jamaica, Queens. It felt like a step up.
My mom had 6 children. 2 of them were girls. So being in the house with 4 brothers was funny, hilarious all the time. They were good boys.
Mom surrounded myself and 5 other siblings with a real foundation of love and nurturing. As a young man, police were the symbols of public safety, and it was almost you were in awe. The blue uniform, the cool-looking overcoat and jackets with the gold gilded buttons on it. You know, here's the cavalry. These were the good guys. My brother and I, we were arrested for criminal trespassing. I was 15 at the time, and my brother was 16, and they took us downstairs and continued to assault us. It just really changed my feeling towards law enforcement. At 15, I was still a child. I was still trading baseball cards and looking at my favorite cartoons. I would avoid walking down the block where the 103rd precinct was located. And it's just embedded in me a level of anger. And I just changed as a young man. I became very angry and an introvert. My family was extremely supportive of me becoming a police officer because they saw the rage from 15 on, and they knew that if I didn't focus that energy somewhere, I was going to end up in serious trouble. I took the exam, and then I went into the police department, and the first few months in the police department, Eleanor Bumpers was shot. She was a grandmother who was shot with a shotgun by Officer Sullivan. I knew at that time, this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm supposed to be a voice for change.
What struck me about Eric Adams was that he was one of the few police officers that really wanted to participate in holding police accountable, and that was very honest and candid about there were bad apples in the police department, and he did not see those of us that were involved as being anti-police. He saw it as a way of correcting policing.
Each officer who was inside the precinct on the day that this event took place should also be brought up on criminal charges and at a minimum administrative charges.
Once I got into the department and started to see not only what aggressive police tactics did to families, but also crime and the impact of crime.
Eric formed 100 Blacks for Law Enforcement. And I remember when we were fighting some police brutality case, and some of the pro-police advocates attacked us. He came out and said, no, they're not anti-police. We need to deal with these reforms. I may not agree with all of the reforms, but this is a legitimate discussion.
He was an awesome police officer, and he was a brilliant police officer. He tested and tested and tested and left the department when he retired after 22 years as a captain.
I made the decision to run for state senate when I was in the police department, and I became a state senator, the first person of color to be the chair of Homeland Security in the state of New York. And after serving as a state lawmaker, I decided that it was time now to come and be an executive level of government by becoming the first person of color to be the borough president of Brooklyn.
I, Eric Adams.
I, Eric Adams.
It was a magical moment. I think that moment right there was big enough for me to understand who my dad was and his projection. And I was excited for him.
It's amazing how sometimes you take care of those things that are outward, that you neglect the things that are inward. Moving around the city, the stress, the lack of diet, not paying attention to who you are. And so one day I woke up and I couldn't see the alarm clock on my stand and realized that I was losing my sight and had a pain in my stomach that later turned out to be an ulcer, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. But the real crisis I was facing, that I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I remember being at the doctor's office and told that I was in the late stages of diabetes. And he shared with me, you're going to be on medicine the rest of your life. You're going to lose some fingers or possibly some toes because of the nerve damage. And you're going to be injecting yourself with insulin. And you're going to lose your sight. It was a very significant emotional time for me when I was told the severity of my late stages of diabetes. Because remember, I'm still a public figure. And it was through that comfort of embracing and leaning into the learning moment of that time that I was able to see myself through diabetes, through vision loss, through nerve damage, through all of those ailments. I saw myself on the other side of that. And that helped me emotionally state, this is not where you're going to stay. This is just where you are right now. Changing my diet literally saved my life.
Went to alternative medicine, and they got him back on track.
I learned the power of food and what food does to your body and how there's a disconnect between what we eat and the chronic conditions we're living through. I learned how to use food, a whole food, plant-based diet, to reverse my conditions. And when I did so, 3 weeks later, my vision came back. 3 months later, my nerve damage went away, my diabetes went in remission. I couldn't even tell you when the ulcer went away. It's just one day I said, hey, what happened to that pain in my stomach? I had medicine for 1 week and never had to take it again. And it's been 4 years. We changed that impossibility into possibility.
He's fully Superman. Not only was he able to change his diet, he encourages other people to change their diet. But he does it in a way where it's not like he's going to give you a slap on the wrist.
And he uses the power of his office to share with people the importance of eating healthy and why it's good for one to use vegetables as opposed to meat products. And if he had his way, it would be more meatless options in schools. He's trying to do it in the prisons. He's trying to do it in every city entity.
He was born to thrive. He's continually working on himself so he can be better, be able to serve other people, and not just other people on the outside, but his family as well. He's gonna push, push, push.
We've abandoned the children who are carrying guns, the victims of shootings.
I think that's quite remarkable that he was able to go through so much pain and find a purpose out of it and to create something where it motivated him to do something to help out his community.
Honorary member of Black Lives Matter Brooklyn.
A thriver is a person that steps beyond his or her comfort zone. We are much more than what we were told we are. And the first step of going from just surviving to thriving is to believe that you don't just have to survive, that you could thrive.